the next solar eclipse that will be seen is on Wednesday the 19th using Pacific Daylight Time, and it will be visible in parts of the Pacific to Indian Ocean area. It's unique in the respect that during the period of time where we're going from the first partially visible to the last partially visible portion of the eclipse, the cross from when the light on the coming off the moon is waning to when it is waxing. And so that range would be 6:34 and 26 seconds p.m., 7:37 and 8 seconds p.m., 9:16 and 53 seconds p.m., 10:56 and 43 seconds p.m., and 11:59 and 22 seconds p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, as I've said, Wednesday the 19th. But since it's all after sunset, we are concluding it spiritually under Thursday, because virtually every calendar, the night comes before the day. So the sun sets and it's a new day. When you're going lunar calendars, that's always what you're doing. Now, there is the exception of they wait till sunrise and then the day starts. And we in the West have adopted this weird thing where it used to be the middle of the night and then it became 12. So, but either way, it kind of ends on the 19th. And so is it the night of power? I don't know. That's sort of not the point. It's definitely listed as one of the best 10 nights of the year. And even though one won't see it, there are some effects that every eclipse, whether it's solar or lunar, has on the atmosphere. And I mean, people who don't know, I'm not sure if people are actually sensitive to say, oh, well, it was an eclipse. I know the difference. I'm not sure if that's actually a thing, but it does have some minute effects on stuff that we might sense. So as I said, that was the partial time, the first full eclipse time, the maximum time, and the last to the end time, and the last to see the partial. And that's the thing that if you have totality is only visible for like a minute and some odd seconds, up to like 5 minutes or something like this. I'm not sure what the case is in this particular eclipse. I didn't find that, so we're talking about that before we get to that point.
We won't be able to see it here in the US, right?
The October 14th one we will. And we may see there. I don't remember whether it's by day or well, it's obviously by day, right? So the comet, there could be a comet visible, the brightest, maybe the brightest comet ever, if the Apophis is not going to, the Apophis could be bigger than it's been seen in a long time. At least since the Tunguska explosion, it's probably going to be bigger than the Tunguska explosion if that thing hits. Because they're literally showing it going so close to Earth that you have to zoom, it's going, it's not going to take much to pull it in. It could, or direct it out so it totally misses Earth, but that's not the point. There's just a comet to be seen in the sky. I don't remember what its name is, but there's a comet coming on the 13th. And cards, you got the Wheel of Fortune for the day. You have the month card would be the moon. and the season card would be the Fool. And in terms of the minor arcana, we have the Queen of Discs, the Princess of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the Five of Discs. And so that's sort of a Chinese astrology sort of way of looking at it, is that, you know, you don't, whatever the position of the planets and stuff are, that remains the same. So it's a weird thing to do, but what is it? Is it Jupiter? Which is it Jupiter that returns every 12 years or something? Is that why they have 12?
12 signs, maybe. I'm not sure.
So so what are your thoughts as far of the cards and stuff at hand that we got? Or
well, on I'm gonna give them, I have them here in front of me. I'm just gonna give them a look over and just arrange them in whatever way that I'm laying out here, and let's see what comes to mind. You know, I guess
so
you could say.
the sun, if it's the age of Aquarius, that some of the things we got is the sun and the moon are going to be in 19 degrees 50 minutes along into Pisces.
It seems like things are uplifting or uprising, or there's like a lot of upward motion that's going on here.
I'm not getting it to search here. And so also in Pisces, we have Jupiter at 13 degrees, 45 minutes. The, which lunar node is that? So the north node in 13 degrees, 58 minutes. And I don't have the south node. That should be opposite that. So what the other lunar node would be in is it opposite? I'm not getting it to load. Okay, no, it's 30 years. So I don't know what I was thinking, 12 years.
Every 30 years.
Okay, so I was thinking something 12 related in terms of years, why the Chinese had that zodiac thing. So so 23 degrees and 58 minutes. So in Aquarius, we have Neptune, 16 degrees, 21 minutes. In Capricorn, we have 21 minutes, 33, 21 degrees, 33 minutes. Saturn, and Pluto would be 20 degrees, 20 minutes into Sagittarius. Mars would be 3 minutes and 3 degrees and 8 minutes into Gemini. Venus would be 29 degrees and 23 minutes into Aries. The Uranus would be 7 degrees, 49 minutes into Aries. Mercury would be 5 degrees, 33 minutes into Aries as well.
I noticed in these cards, it's like these two are both, they look towards the sky. Their back is turned, but yet they're looking at towards the sky, and like they're either looking for something or fighting something off.
Back is turned You mean that they're facing towards the center, but their back is turned to something? The moon
Yeah.
card?
It's the Princess of Swords and the Queen of Discs
Oh,
cards. Yeah, it's like, they're back.
okay, yeah, the lunar modes are approximately opposite. So let's look
Mhm.
at so the south mode is Ketu, or it's supposed to represent the past. So in the past, we would have
Okay.
so Virgo. So something is hidden, right? Or something was hidden. And 23 is a number that people sing about 23 like it's when people go downhill. And it's like it depends on how much care, how good of care you took care of yourself and all that sort of stuff. It's not like a set and fast age. I think I was 28 before I stopped being mistaken for a high schooler. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I got wrinkles on my feet long before I got them on, not long before, a few years before I got them on my face. So nobody nobody thought I was whatever, and it takes longer than that to be noticed. But you know how it is, the counters at the supermarket and all that stuff say you have to be, if anybody looks under 30 or under 35 or whatever they come up with, because they figure, yeah, the person has a habit, they're not going to look anywhere near their age.
right.
So, but 23 has become a important thing. Now 26, because that's the peak of alcohol and drug consumption and stuff like this. And it's also the peak of the onset of insanity. That should be more of an age, right? That it's like, but see, people more or less start learning their lesson, but trying to say that people aren't accountable for their actions until they're the point where they're gonna be like, oh, I got to use less. And I don't know how much of that is people going to jail. It's like, oh, well, if they're counting the people in jail that are having to quit totally,
Right.
well,
It's
sort of. Um,
definitely a different um it's a different time nowadays than what I went through growing up. Um and I can't say it.
or it could represent, or we could say this, to give it a negative meaning. Um,
Right.
we could use the whole thing to represent some sort of virtue being in the past.
With all,
But then
you know,
again,
it,
people can bring stuff back into the future. Everything is a good or a bad sign. It's like drawing the cards. Drawing the cards, it can be a good or bad sign. Um, and so Jupiter would be the fortune card. And so it's sort of the consciousness. So you have a consciousness that's not quite fully accepted, and that's going to be kind of fine. Um, and we go back to the sun. The sun is reputation, and the moon is heredity, or something's being bounced off of something. So all these identity things, people think it's about themselves. No, it's not. It's actually about something they're wanting to do to society. That's why it's being brought up now. They're wanting to do something to society. Um, the individual is not important to those end games. And so all this is under the moon card. You got illusion and delusion. So there's some sort of thing in the past that people look up to, and it's not quite whatever. And there's some sort of
I,
thought. The Pisces is as much the New Age card as anything, because I mean the Moon card is as close to the New Age card as anything. The New Age movement. Yeah, there's some truth in there somewhere, but it's filled with illusion and delusion, and you don't know what's what. And then you got your positive and your negative. Again, they pretend to be all one. They pretend to be all this other stuff. Oh, I should have brought out my lie detector thing, shouldn't I? All one. Belief makes real. Whatever of that group or some other group. No insult per se intended. It seems to mask something.
right.
And what is it masking? for the people who are running things with any group. April's a month where they celebrate the writing of the Book of the Law for Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister Crowley was seen as the New Age prophet, right? But one of the things that he did is he set up a system. If you make your way through the OTO or the AA, you become the sort of person that you sort of can start your own cult. You can sort of start your own cult. And I don't mean that, I mean that like as a minority sort of thing, less than like the negative connotations that people say, oh, you call it, because, but I don't know if there's any positive, you see groups, there are groups out there that are called a cult. And, there's always some issue associated with the word cult and that group. That doesn't quite come off right. So in Aries, we have Mercury, Venus, and Uranus. And Uranus is, oh, bugs ate that. It's, well, the superconscious. Venus is, yeah, just because it's green, it doesn't mean it's the symbol of love, because that's really not what it is. I mean, the symbol of money. Yeah, it's closer to love and relationships and that sort of thing. And Mercury is the symbol of the message coming through. And so you have the Emperor card. So the Emperor, I mean, you don't have it here as the card of the season. It's about to be next. I give May the Emperor card, because the age of Aquarius and all that stuff. So sort of apocalyptic stuff could be going down, whether that's good, it's an unveiling of something, whether it's good or true, or not, you have a love for impetus, something being brought forth, very driven. And likewise, there's a message being driven, but what exactly that is. And so I said in Aquarius, we have Neptune. So that's sort of dark and shadowy and unconscious. Now, shadow is not a bad thing. Shadow is just what you're not aware of. People talk like shadow work, like it's the bad stuff you have to deal with. Not necessarily. It's just your blind spot. Now, something happens in your blind spot because you're not aware of quite what you are. It's like some people go on pilgrimage and literally stoning their circle, but what happened? Their shadow. But their shadow, when you're dealing with the shadow, then you're bringing it out, or you're transforming it into something that you can, bring out like that. The cobs and the coup, not the coobs and the caw, and we're going to get into that, right? And so Saturn is in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is, well, the star card, something needs to change in regards to something unconscious. So so something needs to change. So it's something, see, the random combinations or whatever of astrology and oracles and stuff like this, it gets you to think about the subjects. It's not, this tells the future, and like some people, it's like, you knew it, you saw my card. It's like, no, I just came up with a calendar for the cards, and that was it. As I mean, not to be disrespectful, but it's like, well, let me make up some crap for a second, and like, it's like, what do you think this stuff is? It's coming up with a message based on a symbolic structure. It's not crap, because that's, if you notice, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
That was well said. I like that.
But maybe you have it written somewhere else. Okay, I was thinking that. So in Capricorn, so very, well, Saturn is exalted in Capricorn, right? Isn't that the symbolism? Because Saturn's like, if like in the alphabet, the 22 letter alphabet, and you attribute everything, you got the elements, you got the planets, and then you got the zodiac. Earth, if you give Earth, have a fourth element, Saturn and Earth are as the same. And Capricorn is sort of the Lord of Earth sort of thing, because it's the goat fish, but the goat on the mountain, it's sort of a thing like that. Now 21 is a very important number in the order of 9 angles, of course, and associated groups. 33 degrees is an important number because of the number of your teeth and your skull, your spine and your skull. A lot of important things going on there. 21 is also the number of pathways. If you have all the, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, all the pathways in between those, there's going to be 21 pathways. So that's an important number to draw up. Pluto, it's something transpersonal. It's something beyond the self. Because Pluto takes more than a lifetime to rotate. Once you get out to Pluto, it takes more than a person's lifetime to rotate around the sun. And well, it can be that for some of the other planets, but it's definitely pretty much guaranteed that Pluto's going to be it, right? I don't remember the orbit ratios of this. I'm not getting things to pull up aside from this. All the bandwidth's going to this for some reason. So that was in. So the devil card was there, but the devil card in the tarot is like virtue and vice. Everything is available on the same things. Now, people think you have to be a pervert or a criminal or something to get this side of life, and you actually don't. You may not be able to immediately fulfill whatever's at hand and do whatever is available if you're going that way. But the lesson is that it's conscious wise and action wise, there's and material wise and stuff like this, it's available elsewhere. Now, sometimes it takes a collective for that to be the case, because sometimes a collective works together and keeps everybody down in a way. The Pluto card, so which card would be Pluto? So if you give an extra element to Pluto, Uranus would probably be the Fool. Pluto would be the Hanged Man, right? Or would that be Neptune? Or Pluto would be the Aeon. The Aeon's sort of like the Last Judgment, so that could be it too. Because you have to really, for your karma to play out, and there to be witnesses, material witnesses and stuff like this, it really has to involve separate generations. I understand people believe in reincarnation and all that stuff, but the fact of the matter is that it can't be shown to you the effects of your deeds as if they already happened, if the effects of your deeds and your influence and stuff is still going on. So is nobody allowed to reincarnate until it's like, that's kind of, so some people have to wait millions of years, other people can reincarnate pretty right away. I don't know what sense that makes, but the art card is the balance. So you got the foot in this, or the foot of the it's sometimes as temperance is like an angel. You got the right hand path and the left hand path into one. You got the Goetia, and you got the angelic magic and all that sort of stuff. They're sometimes represented as one, or maybe you're dealing with those issues of cosmology in yourself, because you don't have to worship them to per se put it out there what beliefs you have regarding them and all that sort of stuff. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And so the Mars card, of course, is the Tower card. And so that merges with the Gemini card, which is the Lover's card. And so our soulmates, our brothers or whatever, it's really more than that. Because the Crowley card, don't they have you have those you got Castor and Pollux. You also got a couple getting married. You got some stuff going on there. So, but it's political. So there's political partnerships. And of course, it's approaching an election season. So we're going to, some of that's going on. So I know they wait until the primaries. They wait until the primaries and then they like get together. It's like you threw all those insults and whatnot back and forth, and now you're working together politically. It really, that's part of the reason why our country's so messed up is we're going into these leaders that have done that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's in my opinion, they set a bad example, very bad example.
And of course, the idea here is the future. The future is in, the age at hand we have here. Now, when it comes into these cards directly, and throw in whatever you're coming up with these things. Maybe you found something.
Just the uprising, not like an uprising. It's like upward movement. Hopefully this will be, good, a good
Well,
thing. But
what do we see in the corner of my meme there of the ace and the princess of swords? They're both there's this upward thing, because thought towards ascent, or maybe there's descent and it's crowning you with its crown of light. It doesn't matter, but what's that thing? You go to deity and then deity comes to you.
And like some people would call it the, afterlife or whatever. There's many names for it. What is to come, or, after this physical life. It's important, what we do now. It's important what we don't do now.
And the princesses represent, people are like, well, it's the lowest stage. So the page or the princess is the lowest stage. And it's like, well, but it's all the potentiality of the suit, sort of, but in terms of the court cards.
Yeah.
And the ace is like the combination of everything. So you have things coming in together, I guess. The prince wants the crown. The mother and the father are there, and the princess is like the item of whatever ace card you have. So it may have, and then you have everything else. So some ace cards you could have things, but what does it say on the ace card? Doesn't it say dilemma, which is, so will, which is sort of an idea that you would typically say with the wands in a way, but then again, the wands, you're talking something beyond that. And you notice, so the queen of discs. So the lion has turned green. The lion has turned green, so you're ending up with the Aries card being rather green.
Yeah. There's another upward type.
Because the idea is, okay, so red and orange and stuff like this, back when Leo was the sign in June, but it's not the sign in June. So it's taken a rotation over. It's actually a full degree from a lot of this stuff comes from that 10,500 BCE era. And so, yeah, see, she's cutting through her thoughts. She's dealing with that. The fortune card there, you got the fortune card, you got the modes. So you got the mode of goodness, the mode of ignorance, the mode of, well, it's not the mode of ignorance, and the mode of passion. That's one way to look at the modes. You got the negative, the positive, and the in the between, sort of the neutral. But in between, if you're talking about anything other than charge or just categories, in between is often the best, because you're not going towards needless extremes.
I see.
Just like the full. Remember my last stream. The full is sort of what you're after, because the full is not of the system, it's beyond the system. It contains whatever elements of whatever system it's deciding to use. But then again, that's not its identity.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking at the full through that, because you can look at the cards. Okay, what does it say about deity? What does it say about myself? What does it say about the external world? You can put these categories all into the yeah, you can put these categories all into the tarot deck because it's supposed to represent everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the card that is the most worrying of them all is, of course, the worry card. The 5 of discs, elemental tatwas and all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when you flip the pentagram upside down, you're not exactly just flipping it upside down, you're giving it a little bit different order. So you got the earth and the fire as its top points, and the water and the air as its other points, and spirit as its bottom point. Now, is that good or bad? The pentagram's facing this way or that way or whatever. I've talked about this in my pentagram right video. And you know, the five cards, you know, because that's the sphere of Mars, the sphere of fear, the sphere of judgment. Well, judgment, see, in the West, we give judgment like a bad name. Mm-hmm. If you say thou shalt not judge, then you're judging judgment badly. You're acting like judging this, forming an opinion is a sin. But they do that on purpose, I think. I think they're doing that on purpose. Oh, we have another 33 minutes. So the 33 minutes thing, let's combine. So 33 and 33, the number of the Vedas, the 4 Vedas that people are familiar with, are supposed to be 7. There's a 5th one. I don't know where to buy a translation or whatever of it, but they supposedly found one of the Vedas that was not. Now I wouldn't be able, it's not fair. I wouldn't be able to share it on my channel, like unless I am able to translate it myself. Because it's going to be 70 years or 100 years or something before you can. Nowadays, it's going to be 100 years. Anything put out nowadays is going to be 100 years before people could share it, whatever. But 33 deities is the idea. There are 33 deities, but then you have this monotheistic sort of idea that there's a deity behind the deities, behind the so-called causal beings, the asuras and the devas. You're going to end up with something that was the cause of them, and those other beings were used to bring about the rest of the universe in various myths or whatever. But there's this idea of something beyond the cosmos that brought about the whole thing. So that number is brought up repeatedly. It's sort of an enlightenment or totality sort of number as far as the numbers we're looking at. The fact that it ends right before this change into the day, Wednesday to Thursday on the West Coast, that could be given some importance.
All right.
I mean, and how the things are in position related to each other. People look at that and have some importance. So symbolism is what you make of it. And Neptune's some big old dude in the sea. Well, it makes sense he's in the sea, so that's got to be the exalted position of Neptune. So the hanged man, so self-sacrifice to make a change. That might be what we're looking at there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And foolish about leadership. Definitely a lot of that going on in the world.
Yeah.
But maybe not so much. Maybe it's just those in charge of them. You know, because somebody who pays off a lot of politicians and has power like whole countries. This guy, I mean, both in America and the Americas and in Europe, he's not quite as powerful as America by himself, his little thing, and his family that inherits after them or whatever. But it's, you know, one of his grandson has more working for his company than works for the FBI.
I do believe that there's such a thing, what I call a mouthpiece. And then,
well, that's the thing, is that people who aren't sold off, then they're, you know, oh no, Kennedy's going to think for himself or Trump's going to think for himself. It's like they weren't the best of people, but the reason why they're opposed is by the media is not because they were they were actually better for the country than what was
Right.
but and well, the message thing, so the message is it's not too far in, but there's this idea, instead of this balance of society, the male and the female, oh, they're both in, and they're like at opposite ends. But it's not supposed to be a war of the genders. The genders are supposed to work together and be different and be fine about being different. Just like those that get sunburned and don't spend as much time outside in the summer, at least in the middle of the day, well, they have benefits that maybe wouldn't be had by the people who would. So society all works together than rather apart. But there's very strong, but to the point of breaking it, they've gone too far with this stuff. They've followed stuff to its conclusion rather than equal rights. They've made it a war to the point of marginalizing in many ways the women and putting forth this artificial positivity that, well, facts matter, and it's a fact that you had a feeling. So we're not whatever, and you be sensitive about people's feelings, but but the male, the message is maybe needs to be more. We could get that with the numbers. If you put the placement, so you have Jupiter, Sun, and the Moon, and then the lunar mode off to the side there, and the other lunar mode being, the opposite over there. So the past and our thoughts are not, there's not quite as much of an opposition, but there is divergence in what people think about what's the case and what is actually the case. And if you think of anything, I'm just trying to make up stuff to fill up the last minute here.
That's okay. I'm listening and making notes and taking it in.
And well, look at any of the animals or whatever that's attributed to things. So you have the sheep, for these three planets, and the goat for this other planet, and we have horses and stuff like this for this other planet. For Pluto, and well, we may be going back to horses soon for all we know.
That's a good possibility.
Mars is probably all those animals with horns, right? But Mars is over in Gemini. It's trying to get along, while the more loving planet is